Hello, and welcome to another weekly reading. I am a little bit flabbergasted as I come to record this reading because there was some profound similarities to the last reading I did, which I assumed was last week, but it was actually me pre-recording for when I'm going to be away, and it was linking to the next eclipse. Not the one we're having next week, Monday, in Libra, but the one we're having 2 weeks thereafter. And there are I drew us a dragon card then, and I've drawn us the same dragon card now, 44 card deck, and how that exact same dragon came out. I like to say you can't make this shit up, and that feels like an example of that. So, pick a card between 1 and 4. The rest of the reading's pretty profound as well for me. And then also remember that we have an extra dragon card, which is an overarching theme for all of us. And the reason I've drawn a dragon card is because we're in this eclipse portal now since the last new moon in Pisces, all the way through to the full moon in, let me just think about that, Scorpio. Sorry, which will be after the Aries eclipse, which will be a total solar eclipse, even though we won't all see it. So although this week is not eclipse week, for our first eclipse in Libra will be next week, Monday, this week is very much building towards that first eclipse, which is also less intense than the following eclipse in Aries, but it is a very good time for us to work on what it is that we need to let go of and release. So this is the time of composting leading up to that eclipse. And even if you didn't get your kind of release processes done by that eclipse, you have until the Aries eclipse to kind of really recognize what is it that I need to shed and clear. And then this week is profound for itself in that it is equinox time. And equinox, this is the Aries equinox. So when the sun hits 0 degrees of Aries, then we find ourselves in an equinox point. So depending which hemisphere you're in, for me it's the autumn equinox. For the northern hemisphere, it's the spring equinox. But at that equinox point, we're looking to balance. I want to remind you of this before you look at the cards. We're looking to find balance in our lives because it is the point at which we are most balanced seasonally. We are equal day, equal night, as opposed to the solstices, which are either longest day or longest night. And so here we are trying to find this kind of balance point, and we can also feel the shifting in the seasons definitely occurring in whichever hemisphere we're living. We can feel that the tide is turning, and we have begun, even though it's early in that new season, it is that new season. So equinox in itself is quite profound, and that's happening on Wednesday. And I have got a forecast on that if you'd like a little more information. And on Tuesday, backtracking a day, Mercury enters his shadow, his pre-shadow, before his retrograde. I won't go too far into that either. I do have a forecast on that as well if you want to work more intentionally and consciously with your Mercury retrograde process. In the meantime, let's jump in. And here is our dragon. And as I say, this just kills me because this is the exact dragon I drew last week when I did a pre-recorded reading for a few weeks from now. And here's the rest, which again, just gonna blow our minds right now. But let's just start with our dragon card. So he's the crystal yellow dragon. He's a 5th dimensional dragon. He opens to higher learning and wisdom. Expand your crown chakra for illumination. Walk the higher spiritual path. I mean, he's a beautiful guy. Obviously, the color yellow is very cheerful and sunny. He's working with the frequency of crystals and crystalline energy. And dragons are wise, ancient, basically grid holders. And for this one, it's supporting us to access that higher chakra, the crown chakra, which as a collective we are doing as we sort of upgrade in many ways, but we need to remain grounded whilst we do that. And so looking at our own experiences in the personal as we work on this big collective shift, the most powerful place that we can work to support the collective shift and to cope with tough collective shifts is by tuning into our own needs, our mundane day-to-day realities, and how we can be living in our most spiritually wise space. So that is our learning from the dragon energy of this eclipse. I would say this eclipse season in general, being that it's come up twice. Okay, but I will be drawing dragon cards just while we're in the eclipse window as well. So now we have 3 major arcana cards, which is quite a lot, because remember, major arcana are the big experiences of our lives, where it's like that archetypal hero/heroine's journey. It is the big stuff that's almost like beyond your control. It's almost that fated situation, fate and destiny, which is interesting because eclipse season links to the nodes of the moon, which are all about fate and destiny. So you can't make this shit up. And then we have a wands card, which ironically is also the card that came up when I did the reading that will be released with the dragon. Okay, so here's another big one for me, is that these 2 cards are very, very interconnected. They both have a strong link to Libra, and that next eclipse is in Libra, the first eclipse that we are having next week, Monday, but we're feeling it already clearly. So justice is the 11 and judgment is the 20, which reduces to 2, which reduces to 2. So in many ways, we can look at the fact that when we are learning how to be, the other 2 that we could add into that is the Empress card. And wait. Sorry, here we're back. I just wanted to find it. It's not the Empress card. Apologies. It's the High Priestess card. Now, I want to just put the 3 of them there for you to look at. So we didn't obviously draw High Priestess today, but High Priestess is a 2. Justice is a 2, reduces to a 2. Judgment is a 2. So this is all about tapping into our intuition, which again comes to the yellow dragon, the crystal yellow dragon. And look how she's tapping into her crown energy. Again, crystal yellow dragon. And you can see that her eyes are closed. Whoa, focus. But there's like eyes superimposed over a closed eyelid. It's like knowing without using your physical sight. It's your insight. And you can see here we've also got closed eyes because these 2 cards have come up upright, right? So in her upright form, she doesn't need to see with her eyes. And also, I want to point out Equinox. This is such a balance point. I mean, look at that card. It's all about fairness, justice, balance, order, divine order. And the part below the surface, the insight, her eyes are open, but she sees from deep within, a deep place within. So when we've on this hero's journey, one of our early developments is to tap into the High Priestess. Straight after, we've tapped into the Magician. I mean, again, really? Okay, so we've tapped into the High Priestess and we've learned that we have our own insight and we need to hone the skill. By the time we get to justice, we get this opportunity, and this is assuming we did the thing chronologically. Of course, that's not how the cards work, but they still give us an understanding of a journey, a path. So here we're now at a point where we get to practice our insight. For me to be fair, for me to tune into the higher truths, I need to go in. I can listen to the arguments of others. You can see this as somebody sitting, there's a strong legal connection to these second 2 cards. Okay, as I pause, my dog stops barking. Okay, there's a strong legal connection here, sorry to repeat. And so you might think of this one as the judge that sits in judgment and the sort of justice system. So here we're getting this opportunity to figure out if we're being just and if the system works and if there is fairness and balance by tuning in. Does this feel fair? I mean, if we looked at the actual justice system in just about every country, I'm sure we would feel like it doesn't always feel fair and it doesn't always work well. So this is very much, especially with where the world is turning, where the world is shifting and changing. Crystal Yellow Dragon is saying it too. We have to listen to the guidance of our inner knowing first and say, does this feel true, fair, right? Even though sometimes in the real world, in the 3D reality, it's not that. It is not fair. It is not just. And then we get another option to practice. And we don't always get 2 options to practice our early development card, like this High Priestess. Oh, goodness, she's jumping. Let me move her out the way. And here we get the Judgment card, which is the second last card on the journey. And this is a space where we have to stand in judgment of ourselves to a point and say, okay, I do believe that I should have handled that differently, must in future try to be more this way or less that way, or whatever the case is. And ideally, again, it's coming from an internal place where you say, I don't run out and rob people because that is not in alignment with my higher self and who I want to be in the world. So I don't run out and murder, not necessarily because it's against the law, but because it's against my inner knowing. It's against my values. It's against my soul's urge to be violent, to be aggressive, to be all of those things. So for me, it's very important, especially because we're tuning into our higher knowing, we're tuning into the crown chakra of ourselves and the collective. And you can see this is also releasing that energy up, crown chakra, top of the head. And look at her releasing that energy up and bringing energy down. So it's a two-way street with this, up and down. And by this point, she's kind of like, okay, I'm ready to let go of judgment of myself. You can notice how the person that she is letting go up is almost looking graceful and like a dancer. The traditional version of this card is people coming out of coffins. So there's also an ending and beginning to this kind of thing. It's like, let me leave behind the parts of myself that no longer serve me. And to do that, it's the gain, it's the spring cleaning, it's the composting, it's the editing. What do I need to let go of in order to achieve balance? What does that look like? And then the Magician is such an alchemical chap. I mean, here he is. He's number 1 card, so the High Priestess would come after him. And I love how in this rendition of the card, there's like a portal of energy, and you can see one hand is sending, one hand is receiving. There's this infinity symbol. There's this option of trying to feel the balance, send, receive, give, take. And then the portal, I mean, eclipse season is like a portal. A portal opens of acceleration during eclipse time, and anything can happen. That's what eclipses are all about. Anything can happen. Prepare to be surprised. Some of those surprises might be great and some of them might not feel great, but it is all ultimately in order to accelerate our growth, personally and collectively. Some eclipse seasons will be much more intense for us as individuals, and even collectively. Like that eclipse in Aries is going to be a bigger deal for everyone. But for some people, maybe this eclipse in Libra that's coming up next week will feel stronger. So although this Aries one is a really, really strong one, so I'm pretty sure everyone will feel that. But the point here is that this is an alchemical portal that we can use, or that we can just go alongside with and experience it in whatever way we are able to be aware and experience it. And there's no judgment in either of those things. It's just whatever you're ready and able to do at this time. So when we're going through great challenges, which eclipses can bring on, we might not feel like we have the bandwidth to do too much consciously, but we're doing plenty. Or if you know people and think, why aren't they using the energy? Most of the people who find this reading will probably be quite awake on this level. And if you look at other people and think they could be doing so much more, that's not for us to judge or decide. It is for each of us to be on our own journey at our own pace and our own time, and a level of acceptance and surrendering of that judgment of self and others. And recognizing again, like what somebody else feels is fair might not be what I feel is fair. So I need to keep coming back into self. And then this last one, which is, as I said, the card that also came up in that previous reading, is all about protecting your energy. So in this particular one, she is kind of with closed eyes again, is gazing down at this sort of magical alchemical process that's going on here. These people are coming in to attack. There are people on the ends of those wands, and she is sitting in her center with her sunny yellow chakra engaged and active, which brings into her solar plexus her sense of self-worth, personal power. She's keeping that active. In order to do that, she has to sit in spite of the outside, the external attacks, which may not be literal attacks in your life, but people that judge you. We're going to come back here. People that judge you, or your own judgment, or whatever it may be from the external, more from the external with this card. She needs to find her internal truth. We're back there again. And she needs to trust in the alchemy of her own heart, her own soul that is going on, and keep herself in a protective bubble whilst all of this crazy growth is happening, because a lot of it is happening below the surface. A lot of it is as yet unseen to most people. And I think that even we find it hard, certainly I do, find it hard sometimes to appreciate how much growth I'm having sometimes. And it's only with the benefit of hindsight and reflecting on my journaling that I go, wow, I was so busy growing in that time. But in that time, I didn't feel like that. In that time, it usually feels like, why am I not getting through this faster? Or why am I struggling with this so much? Or what is wrong with me? You know, a lot of the time we turn that on ourselves, or we turn it on others. And this is about just recognizing that you need to keep yourself protected. Alchemy is fully happening for you right now. You're in this crazy accelerated portal. You are really struggling or struggling, maybe is not the right word, exerting a lot of focus and energy in, releasing a lot of old judgments and paradigms from ancestral paradigms, societal expectations and programming and conditioning. All of those things are being broken down. That is a big deal. And we need to decide, what am I keeping? What do I think was, foundational in the best sense? And I think that's worth carrying forward into this new earth, this new me. And what do I need to let go of? And again, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. That's what the Seven of Wands is doing. She's staying in her lane. I can't judge you that you're coming in to attack me. I can't do anything but stay in my lane and do me to the best of my ability. So if you want this to be the most successful for you, try to let go of also judging others, or judging others who are judging you, or allowing the judgment of others to even get that close to you, to harm you. You see how that bubble is like a protective energy in her aura. And so she's saying, you can judge me, you can attack me, but I have got my energy from the inside out so strong that I'm not going to let it impact me. And that's not an easy thing to do. So if you're getting that right many days, just give yourself a pat on the back, because you won't get it right every day, but something to work on, to keep whatever practices keep you doing your energetic housekeeping, basically. If it's certain foods that you should or shouldn't eat, if it's doing meditation, if it's doing hikes in nature, it doesn't matter what it is. There's a million different things it could be, and each of us will find that formula that works for us. But it is very important to stay in your lane. You do you. This is an accelerated portal. There's no getting around that's happening. Some of the things are going to be shocking in the best way, and some shocking in the less best way. So just be prepared. So this is the weekly reading. I am sending you much love and light and accelerated growth in the best ways for you, whether it feels that way or not. And please remember to subscribe, follow, like, share, etc. to help these readings reach more people. Thank you for your time.